Hi everyone, Roman Jenkins here. Today I'm going to start a mini-series on the Republican candidates for president, starting with the nominal frontrunner Mitt Romney. Previously, I had covered the Republican primaries and what I thought would be coming from them, and this was on the eve of the Iowa caucuses. And here we are a few weeks later, and it's a much different world than I predicted. I sort of let my interest in things political natures lapse for a short time in these videos, and the way this month is shaped up with the contraception controversies, I think it's a good time to start back on them. So here we go. We're going to start with Mitt Romney, presidential frontrunner. Willard Mitt Romney was born in Michigan to George Eleanor Romney in 1947. Mitt's known to point to the year of his birth whenever confronted with the fact that he appears to be a robot. He often assures people that computers in the time were not very small, and it's simply inconceivable that he could have one as his brain. George Romney was the CEO of American Motors and later governor of Michigan. Even later than this, he would run for president on the Republican platform, never getting the party nomination, but later serving in Richard Nixon's administration. This probably shaped much of Mitt's stance on mentioning his Mormon faith on the campaign trail. Simply said, he doesn't do it. Long before people speculated to President Obama's faith, people spoke of George Romney's. Mitt saw how this changed people's attitudes towards him as a candidate, and while Mitt has never actively been, has always been actively involved in his faith, he basically refuses to have conversations about it, similar to rivals like Gingrich and Santorum, who talk about it full time. Instead, Mitt talks about generalized Christianity and Jesus and God. You know, the basics. In 1967 and 1968, Mitt went on mission to France, where, according to him, he stayed in a dump, and according to other people on the mission, he had an apartment that could be best described as palatial, and where he also heckled a lot of Vietnam protesters. Now, Mitt became the co-leader of this mission, and upon returning to the U.S., married his wife Anne in 1969. They've since produced 5 androids with stupid names who probably urged him not to spend his own money on this campaign because, the oil they need is actually going to be very expensive by the time Mitt finally shuts down for good, and they need that inheritance. Mitt did self-finance his 2008 campaign for the most part, but has not spent any of his money in 2012. Let's skip ahead a few years. In 1975, Mitt graduated from Harvard with a joint JD and MBA, and already was a father of 2. He stayed in Massachusetts to work for the Boston Consulting Group, and a few years later was hired away by Bain and Company, which was actually spun off of Boston Consulting Group by a man named Bob Bain. He eventually became CEO of that company and headed up the more famous Bain Capital in 1983. Making millions at the head of Bain allowed Romney to self-finance a run for the senatorial seat held by Ted Kennedy in 1994. Mitt lost, but came off as a moderate Republican who may fit into the state politics at some point, taking positions on abortion, gun control, and health insurance that were much more in line with Democratic ones, including supporting abortion, supporting gun control, such as the Brady Bill, and supporting the health insurance mandate that was included in the 1994 healthcare overhaul package. After losing to Kennedy, Mitt continued to make heaps of money, served on boards of corporations, and chaired the 2002 Winter Olympics at Salt Lake City, Utah. Yes, he was responsible for Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey singing a duet to open the ceremonies. It's the Winter Olympics. It's in Utah. It is literally the whitest thing in the world, organized by the whitest man in the world. Off the impossible-to-believe success of the Olympics, Romney ran for governor of Massachusetts and won this time. Despite winning the nickname from Ted Kennedy in 1994, the multi-choice Mitt moniker started to stick and get used because of his time as governor for the Commonwealth. You have to remember that Mitt Romney switched his position on abortion halfway through his term. He only served one, by the way, from 2003 to 2006. But during his one term, he switched on abortion, started to move more to the right on gun control, and did actually veto or reject a gay marriage outlawing bill. But that was partially because of a tactic, well, not a tactic, but so much as a position that was in the bill that he disagreed with, such as civil unions. Civil unions and gay marriages would not be legalized, but there would also be no domestic benefits for partners. Mitt Romney actually wanted domestic benefits for partners, and this has gotten a lot of heat. He also supported environmental causes and these items are getting him in trouble to this day. Now, in 2008, Mitt mounted a failed bid to become Republican presidential candidate, which was probably a boon for him. Like Ed Muskie and Herbert Humphreys in 1968, losing a nationally watched race can help you the next time you run. Note, Muskie and Humphreys both lost in the Democratic primaries to George McGovern in 1972, who lost to Richard Nixon. History repeats. Since 2008, Romney has been biding his time to run again, and is currently running second to Rick Santorum in national polls for the Republican race, but leading in the delegate count. His opponents have hit him for being rich and how he got rich, including taking giant insurance claims out on companies that were going to fail soon, firing people and reorganizing the entire structure, etc., etc. But also for having a sudden reversal on abortion during his time as governor, his gun control stance since being a governor, and the environment in recent months, and a slew of social issues outside of that. Romney is better known as a fiscal conservative due to his business background, though. Of the Republican candidates, he is showing the smallest deficit increase outside of Ron Paul, who shows a decrease, but at the cost of pretty much the entire federal government. Most recently, he has proposed cutting up to 20% of all personal income taxes and bringing down the corporate tax rate as well. And this 20% is combined between the different tax income groups. So you take the current, 38%, and bring it down to 32 for the highest income people, or 35, bring it down to 32, etc. Goes down. The lowest rate of 10% would go to 8%. Mitt is also well known for his support of keeping troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, whether we are wanted there or not, believing that his $350,000 he made last year in speakers' fees was, quote, not a lot of money, that corporations are people, strapping the dog to the roof of his car in its crate and driving to Canada was kind of okay, and his inability to actually remember which position he is taking. He actually flip-flopped on a few positions within the same day, including funding people who are losing their homes and the auto bailouts. Romney is still the best candidate versus Obama in the general election based on polling, and it looks like any sort of broker convention will still involve him as president and some random nutjob as vice president. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of this video. And actually, I wanted to mention, stick around for these. They're probably going to drop off in the next few weeks, because I think I'm probably going to do a Let's Play, and it'll be on Black Ops. Now, I know that's kind of a Call of Duty, of course thing, but I want to do it a little differently and do it with a bit of a gimmick. And the idea is that I'm probably totally going to be doing kind of the history side of the things you see in Black Ops, and freeze frame, talk about this person, bring it back to reality, keep playing the game. I sucked at that campaign, but it should be fun to watch. So thanks for your time, everybody, and I hope to see you in the Let's Play.
We're trying to get a juggernaut. Stupid game
Losing Alpha.
disconnecting me. No, it disconnected me once, but I had 4 kills when I got disconnected, and now I'm 1 kill off from a juggernaut at the end of the game.
Securing Charlie.
That's a hysterical fall. Aww, well, dude. I'm not too bad for going to be in there.
Mission accomplished. Good work.